everyone. So I'm here today because I'm going to do a full-on makeup look with as minimal product as possible. As you know me, I do not like using a ton of products on my skin, but you know, to get the full-on effect. And the most special thing about this video is the fact that I'm gonna be using products and the technique that I personally use on myself and all my clients to minimize the look of pores as much as possible. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you would know that I'm always in the hunt for products that minimize the look of pores and sort of, you know, give me that very, very smooth, flawless canvas. Now, of course, products and skincare definitely helps. But I've realized that the technique that we actually use the product on our skin plays a major role in sort of perfecting that flawless skin look. So I'm going to be showing you today how I personally use my products, what's the technique that I use, and I am going to sort of make it a bit extra special for you, and that is helping you sort of not use one product that everybody claims that you have to use in order to minimize pores. Now, what I'm talking about here would be primers. Now, I've got nothing against primers. I use primers on all my clients, but just for me, like, because I do tend to go out on a very regular basis, I'm out and about a lot. And I personally do not like using a lot of, like, you know, product after product after product on my skin, because I just feel like at the end of the day, it's not going to be healthy using that many products on my skin, like on a daily basis. Now, I know a lot of my clients who come up to me tell me the same thing. You know, you guys are working, you guys are out and about, and you don't want to be like having like this whole range of makeup products that you have to use, you know, before you step out of the house. Now, I hear you and I feel the same. So primers are amazing. Now, I've tried pretty much every primer that you can think of. As soon as, you know, there was this whole time when primers came out and it was like a major craze. Like, everyone went and got primers because it was supposed to solve like your skin issues. So I did the same. Now, I went and got like and tried literally all primers. Now, I would say about 90% of them hardly did anything for me besides, you know, like make me 100 ringgit like lesser in my purse. But there were a couple that helped. But over the years of, you know, I'm someone who has been playing around with makeup for like about 10 years now. Like, it's been my professional career for about 10 years. And I have sort of managed to get that poreless finish without primer. So I'm literally saving us about 100 to 150 ringgit in perfecting this whole, you know, amazing skin look. So I'm going to show you that today. So let's get started. Now, first things first, I always believe that skincare is very important. I'm not saying that you have to have perfect skin before we start this. No, we don't. I do not have perfect skin. I've got large pores. I've got oily skin, you know, like uneven skin tone. But any kind of skin type or any kind of skin issue that you have, skincare is ultimately the one thing that you have to pay a lot of attention to if you want to, you know, just make sure that your skin looks good and then your makeup looks good, because the base is always so important. Now, I always start off by moisturizing because I think it's super important to moisturize your skin. Now, I use the Origins mattifying moisturizer with willow herb. Now, I really like how this sort of goes on my skin. It sort of has a very nice texture and I love the smell of it as well. So I'm just gonna put a tiny bit like all over my face. Now, I've got oily face, right? But I used to be afraid of using moisturizer because I always thought that if you have oily skin and you're going to put moisturizer on, it's just going to make it more oily. Now, that's not true. You just have to pick the right kind of moisturizer that is suitable for oily skin, because moisturizer is so important. Why? It makes sure that you sort of delay having wrinkles. Like, moisturizing the skin makes sure that, you know, all the fine lines and all the wrinkles that we eventually will have, it minimizes it as much as possible. And that's why using what am I saying? I'm sorry. Using moisturizer is just key in your skincare. So you cannot skip moisturizer, right? Now, what I'm going to do next is, now this is where normally you would apply primer on your skin. I'm going to skip the primer And I'm just going to go ahead with my foundation straight away. Now I'm using the Maybelline Matte Polish foundation. Now I've been using this for quite a while. I've been, switching it up between this, Estee Lauder, Fenty, and Huda, right? So I use all four, just sort of depends on my mood. But I kind of tend to go back to this quite often because it's super light and I like it for an everyday look. So this is in the shade 330 Toffee, which is exactly my shade. So it's like so convenient. Now I'm just going to apply very, like, as little as possible, right? Okay, that's about all I need. Now, this is where you need to pay attention. So what I'm going to do now is once I've, sort of popped on the foundation on my skin, I'm going to go ahead with my beauty blender. And what you need to do is you need to basically push the product into the skin. Now, most often what happens is you either take a brush, like a stippling brush or any brush that you have, and you kind of, go around it, and this is what we normally do. Or we take our brush and we sort of do this, your sponge, your beauty blender, whatever sponge it is that you do have, and you kind of go like this. Now, what this does is it just kind of spreads the product over your face. Now, when you have pores, what you need to be doing is you need to be pushing the product in. Now, why do you do this? Is because when you're pushing the product in, what happens is the product is actually going into your pores and it's sort of covering up whatever open pores that you do have. And that sort of, minimizes the look, minimizes the appearance of your pores as much as possible. So I find that this technique is just what works so well for covering up my pores. Like, it literally looks like, once I've done this, it literally looks like I have like extremely, like, just, you can just see bits of my pores that it just, my skin just looks kind of flawless once I do this. And this is just with like as little foundation as possible. Now you can also see how amazing this foundation is. It's sort of like the exact match to my skin tone, which is perfect. So I do not need to be mixing two foundation or two shades. Now I am going to be putting a picture of like a close-up picture because you might not be able to see clearly in the video, but I'm going to be putting two pictures side by side. One where my skin, like I've just, my bare skin with nothing on, so you can actually see the pores on my skin. And then once I've done this technique, and you would already see the difference in the skin, which is pretty amazing. So I pretty much covered up my whole face with as minimal product as possible. So I've not used, a lot of foundation at all. And I really like it. I really like how this feels because it just feels so light on the skin. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do next, I've got this Laura Mercier translucent powder, which I absolutely love. Now, the reason why I love this, I know that it's sort of like this crazy rage where everybody talks about it and you're like, should I really be spending 200 bucks on this powder? But yes, I highly recommend this only because it really works well in making sure that the finishing of your skin is just kept flawless. Especially when you use it, like for example, under the eye area, it sort of minimizes the appearance of the lines, like literally the whole day. Like it just sort of sets your foundation or your concealer and it keeps it in place for hours. So I really, really recommend this product. Now, what I'm going to do with the powder, now you want to be careful and not use too much of the powder, just a bit. Now, I'm using like a flat end brush here to just pick up the product, tap off the excess, and this is what I do. Now normally you don't have to, go all over the face, but the reason why I do this is because it really helps with keeping my shine, like because I've got oily skin and my shine away like for hours, and I don't have to worry about my skin getting oily at all. Now, I know I'm picking up product, but trust me, like this, I'm not picking up a lot of product. It's just as minimal as possible. And I'm literally doing the same thing with the powder. If you notice, I'm just sort of packing in the product, pushing it into the skin again. And this again sort of, you know, goes over the foundation, whatever pores that are still sort of visible, and covers it up like perfectly. And I just sort of get this really nice matte finish with as less visible pores as possible. Now, if you have, say, dry skin and you're concerned about using the powder, what I would recommend is just maybe use it around, you know, your T-zone area, like just a bit on the forehead or wherever you can see your pores are visible, which might be around this area. Some of us have it on our nose as well. I do, and I also get very shiny around my nose, so that's why I put the powder here. And I've got like my pores are most visible around my cheeks and also around this area, like in between of my forehead. So I normally make sure that I powder those areas, and definitely my nose, because I really get oily around my nose, which I absolutely hate, but gotta live with it. But yeah, so this is basically it, right? So I've not got anything on right now. I've got nothing else on my skin, no primer. Now, if you're going to use the primer before this, is it going to make it better? It might. But honestly, I've used the primer before, you know, this exact technique, and I really don't see like a big difference. Like, I don't see any difference, to be honest. And that's why I just kind of stopped using primers altogether. But then again, like, you know, I'm just talking on my behalf. For some of you, maybe you have used primers and they have really worked with your skin. And that's the thing with makeup. It's like not a one rule fits all kind of thing. It's not like a general statement that, you know, we makeup artists make that sort of goes for everybody. It depends on the individual. Like, it might work for you, and if it does, continue with it. You know, this is what works for me. And like I said, I like it. Why? Because it sort of saves me from using one product altogether, and I just have to use my foundation and the powder after that, and I'm done. I'm set, you know, I'm ready to go. So I'm just going to finish up the rest of my makeup here. Now try this and tell me what happens. Like, you know, do this exact technique. So again, I'm just going to show you guys your beauty blender. Push the foundation in. Do not do this. Do not do this. Okay, so you push the foundation in. And then with your powder, instead of just putting it all over your face, you know, with like a big fluffy brush, take this sort of a flat end brush, which is a bit more dense, right? Tap off whatever excess product that you have, because you do not want to apply too much powder on the face. That's what makes it look very cakey. Tap off any excess and just very lightly push the product into your skin again. And you would find that your pores look just so much more less visible, and I really like the way that it finishes up on the skin. So try this technique and let me know in the comments down below what you think, and if it worked for you, and if you have any other techniques or, you know, suggestions that you have been using to minimize pores and it's worked amazingly well for you. We would love to hear from you as well. So until the next video, bye, take care, and I'll see you guys again soon.